Everyone at the Downtown Community Center's Women's Self-Defense class saw Isabella Reyes as just another volunteer instructor. This petite, calm woman had been teaching here for 3 years, and everyone assumed she was simply a caring civilian. But tonight, when Derek Johnson burst into the class claiming that women can't really defend themselves, everyone would learn who Isabella really was. I wonder where you're watching this incredible story unfold from today. Whether you're in the bustling streets of New York, the quiet neighborhoods of Denver, the vibrant energy of Los Angeles, or maybe you're viewing from across the globe in London, Tokyo, Sydney, or Sao Paulo. Wherever you are in this world, I'm sure you've witnessed someone being completely underestimated before. Perhaps you've seen that moment when assumptions crumble and truth emerges in the most dramatic way possible. But rarely does it happen as powerfully as what you're about to witness tonight at the Downtown Community Center. At 32, Isabella Reyes was the humble volunteer who ran the weekly women's self-defense classes at the Downtown Community Center in Chicago. Standing 5'4" with an athletic but unassuming build, she had brown hair always pulled back in a practical ponytail, wore simple workout clothes, and never sought to draw attention to herself. Her dark brown eyes, which once burned with the determination to save lives on battlefields, now focused patiently on teaching basic defense techniques to women. The women who attended her classes appreciated Isabella's presence, but none questioned her background. To them, Isabella was simply a reliable, knowledgeable, and patient instructor. They found it natural that she knew techniques perfectly and demonstrated every movement with absolute precision. But none of them knew that Isabella Reyes was once Staff Sergeant Isabella Reyes, who had served 8 years ago in one of the U.S. Army's most elite units. She had worked as a close-quarters combat instructor in the Special Forces Command, providing CQC, close-quarter combat training, to special operations units across various NATO countries. Isabella's military career was filled with extraordinary achievements. She had entered military academy at 18, outperforming all other candidates in physical and mental tests. During her 5-year training period, she specialized in martial arts, tactics, psychological warfare, and leadership. When she graduated, she was the first person among female officers to finish with the highest grades. When she joined Special Forces, Isabella was the only female officer that her male colleagues viewed with skepticism. "You won't last in the field. This job isn't for women. You'll cry and run home at the first difficulty," were comments she heard daily. But Isabella never responded. Instead, she proved herself in every training session, every exercise, every mission. Her first overseas deployment was to Afghanistan. She participated in a rescue operation to save 3 American soldiers captured by Taliban militants. Isabella's strategic planning abilities and close combat skills played a critical role in the operation's success. All 3 comrades were safely rescued, and enemy forces were neutralized. After this mission, Isabella earned the nickname Silent Storm. She hid devastating power beneath her calm, calculated demeanor. Throughout her military career, she participated in 23 different operations and never lost a teammate. But everything changed that horrific night. 8 years ago, the incident that ended Isabella's career occurred on the Syrian border. It was a rescue operation for a civilian family held hostage by ISIS militants. The intelligence was accurate. The plan was perfect. The team was ready. But someone had leaked the operation. An ambush was waiting. Isabella's team faced unexpected fire. Her commander, Major Michael Reynolds, immediately ordered Isabella to take a safety position. But Isabella couldn't forget the civilian family. The hostages were still in the building, waiting to be rescued. "Reyes, fall back!" Reynolds shouted, but Isabella was already moving. She infiltrated the building under enemy fire, neutralized 4 ISIS militants, and directed the hostage family to a safe exit. The mother, father, and 2 young children were saved alive. But returning, Isabella's world collapsed. Major Reynolds had been killed by enemy sniper fire. Isabella's closest friend, mentor, and military father was gone. The operation was successful. The hostages were rescued. The enemy was neutralized. Isabella was recommended for a medal for her heroism, but she refused the medal. "I couldn't protect my commander," she told the investigation committee. "This is my failure." She was diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder. Isabella was treated, recovered, and cleared for return to duty. But she was no longer the same person. In every operation, she heard Reynolds' voice. In every mission, she remembered that she couldn't protect him. She served for 2 more years, but her heart was no longer in military life. At 30, she left her career at its peak. She was discharged and returned to civilian life. Isabella's adaptation to civilian life after leaving the military was difficult. For 2 years, she worked various jobs: security, personal training, security consulting, but none satisfied her. She had nightmares at night, felt uncomfortable in social settings, and constantly found herself on high alert. Psychologist Dr. Sarah Mitchell had told her, "Isabella, the best way to heal your trauma is to help others. You can use your skills to protect people." Inspired by this suggestion, Isabella began volunteer work. She first volunteered at a women's shelter, teaching basic defense techniques to domestic violence victims. What she saw there deeply affected her. Women who didn't know how to defend themselves, who were afraid, who felt powerless. No one should feel defenseless, Isabella thought, especially women. This is how she began offering volunteer women's self-defense classes at the downtown community center. For 3 years, every Tuesday evening, she taught basic defense techniques to women free of charge. Krav Maga, judo, karate, boxing. She simplified every technique she had learned over the years and made them applicable to daily life. Her students adored her. Isabella didn't just teach technique, she also gave confidence. "Physical strength isn't the most important thing," she would say. "Mental preparation and technical knowledge are more valuable than strength." But Isabella never told anyone about her past. Her students called her Instructor Isabella. Her military background, medals, and operations all remained secret until tonight. Derek Johnson was a 28-year-old, 6 feet 1 inch muscular man. He saw himself as an alpha male and believed that women were weak and in need of protection. Recently divorced, Derek was angry that his ex-wife had obtained a restraining order against him. "Women always play the victim," he would tell his friends. "What can they really do when faced with real danger?" This Tuesday evening, Derek was passing by the community center with his friends when he noticed the women's self-defense class. He watched through the window. 15 women trying to imitate the simple techniques Isabella was demonstrating. "Look at this nonsense," Derek laughed to his friends, as if they could protect themselves by learning a few moves. His friends tried to stop Derek, but he was already determined. He went inside and disrupted the class. "Excuse me, ladies," Derek spoke loudly, drawing all attention to himself. "Do these defense classes really work?" Isabella looked at Derek calmly. "This is a private class. Could you please wait outside?" Derek laughed. "I'm just curious. When you face real danger, will what you've learned here actually work?" The women in the class looked at each other uncomfortably. Isabella's voice was calm but firm. "Yes, it will work. Now please—" "Well then, let's test it," Derek interrupted. "I'll volunteer. You attack me like it's a real assault, and let's see if these techniques really work." Isabella took a deep breath. "We don't conduct such tests here. This is a safe environment." "The real world isn't safe," Derek argued. "You're giving women a false sense of security. A real attacker will be like me." One of the women in the class, young teacher Emily, spoke up courageously. "Please leave. We came here to learn." Derek turned to Emily with a mocking smile. "Are you learning defense too, sweetheart? When you face real danger, you'll cry and run away." These words pushed Isabella's patience to its limit. She seemed to hear Major Reynolds' voice. "Protect the weak, Isabella. That's your duty." "Okay." Isabella stood up. "Let's test it." Derek's face lit up with a triumphant expression. "Ah, finally. Now that's a real woman. Brave." Isabella turned to the women in the class. Please, everyone move to a safe distance. This will just be a demonstration. The women reluctantly stepped back. Everyone wondered what Isabella would do. Most were worried. Derek looked very big and strong. What are the rules? Isabella asked Derek. Derek shrugged. No rules, just like real life. I'll attack you and you try to defend yourself, but I'll be careful not to hurt you, of course. Isabella nodded. Understood. Are you ready? I was born ready. Derek crossed his arms over his chest. Are you ready, little lady? Isabella quietly took position, feet shoulder-width apart, arms relaxed but ready, eyes focused on Derek. The women in the class held their breath. Derek stepped forward, reaching his hand toward Isabella. Come on, show me what you've learned. What happened in the next second was so fast that most people in the room needed several minutes to understand what they had seen. As soon as Derek made his move toward Isabella, she reacted. 8 years of special forces training returned to her muscles, reflexes awakened, the old Isabella Reyes surfaced. Isabella grabbed Derek's extended arm, turned her body and launched him into the air with a perfect Ippon Seoi Nage shoulder throw. The sound of Derek's 190-pound body hitting the hard floor filled the entire room. But Isabella wasn't finished yet. As Derek tried to get up in confusion, Isabella took him into a rear naked choke. Derek's neck was locked between Isabella's arms, tight enough to maintain control, but not cut off blood circulation. Don't move, Isabella warned quietly in Derek's ear. I can make you unconscious in 8 seconds from this position. Derek's friends stood at the door in shock. They couldn't understand how a 140-pound woman had just controlled a 190-pound man so easily. Let me go, Derek shouted hoarsely. This was a lucky shot. Not luck, Isabella replied calmly. Technique and training. The women in the class were met. That was nothing. Derek spoke angrily. I wasn't ready. Try again. Isabella shook her head. The demonstration is over. You got the message. No, I didn't, Derek shouted. You cheated. No cheating, Isabella explained calmly. Leverage, momentum, and technical knowledge. Any woman can learn these. Derek was furious. The small woman had defeated him so easily, completely shattering his ego. He had been humiliated in front of his friends. Okay then, Derek removed his shirt. Let's have a real fight. This time I'm ready. Something changed in Isabella's face. The calm demeanor gave way to cold determination. This wasn't what Derek was looking for. I don't want to, Isabella replied briefly. Why? Are you scared? Derek asked mockingly. Or do you know you're not a real fighter? One of the women in the class, middle-aged nurse Margaret, spoke courageously. Instructor Isabella, show him what you can do. The other women also supported her. Yes, he needs to learn his lesson. Isabella looked at the women. There was a mixture of disappointment, anger, and hope in their eyes. They were tired of men like Derek looking down on them. They wanted to see Isabella's power. Okay, Isabella said. The tone in her voice completely changed. But full contact. Derek grinned. Now that's what I'm talking about. Finally, a real... Derek couldn't finish his sentence. Isabella's second attack was much more impressive than the first. This time, Derek was ready. He wasn't underestimating Isabella. But it didn't matter. When Derek tried to throw a punch, Isabella stepped in, deflected, and executed a combination. Elbow strike to the neck, knee kick to the solar plexus, then a sweep kick to the legs. Derek went down, but Isabella wasn't stopping. In ground fighting position, she controlled Derek in mount position, taking his arm into an armbar. Submit, Isabella commanded. Never. Derek tried to resist. Isabella bent Derek's arm a little more. Submit or your arm breaks. Derek screamed in pain. Okay, okay, I submit. Isabella released Derek and stood up. Derek was writhing on the ground, rubbing his arm. The women in the class were applauding on their feet. For the first time in their lives, they had seen a woman defeat a man so easily. But there was no triumph on Isabella's face. Instead, there was deep sadness. Can you leave now? She asked Derek. Derek grumbled as he tried to get up. Who are you? Where did you learn this? Isabella hesitated. The secret she had kept for 3 years could no longer be hidden. My name is Isabella Reyes, she said quietly. Former U.S. Army Special Forces Command Close Quarters Combat Instructor. The room fell completely silent. Derek couldn't believe it. Prove it. Isabella took out her old military ID from her wallet. Staff Sergeant Isabella Reyes, 12 years active duty, 23 operations, NATO Close Combat Instructor certification. The women in the class looked at each other in amazement. Are you a real soldier? Asked young teacher Emily. Isabella nodded. I was. Not anymore. Why did you quit? Asked Nurse Margaret. Isabella's eyes welled up. Because I couldn't protect someone. Derek's friends helped him up by his arms. Derek was still in shock. Don't tell anyone about this, Derek whispered. Please. Isabella looked at him. And you don't harass other women. Derek nodded and quickly left with his friends. After Derek left, the atmosphere in the class completely changed. The women bombarded Isabella with questions. Were you really in the military? Which operations did you participate in? Why did you hide it? Isabella sat in a chair, looking tired. I left my military past behind, she said. Now I just want to help you. Emily asked curiously. But why? You're a hero soldier. Why did you hide it? Isabella took a deep breath. Because I couldn't protect my commander. His death was my fault. Margaret approached. Isabella, since you came here, you've helped dozens of women. My daughter even taught your techniques to her friends. You're saving lives. The other women also supported her. My ex-husband stopped hitting me because I learned to stand up to him. I'm not afraid to walk at night anymore. I taught my daughter too. The bullies at school can't harass her anymore. Isabella felt her eyes filling up. For the first time, she fully understood how meaningful it had been to help these women for 3 years. Thank you, she said. We thank you, Emily smiled. You're our hero. The Downtown Community Center's Women's Defense Program had become famous throughout Chicago. After Isabella's story appeared in the media, hundreds of women applied to join the classes. Isabella no longer hid her past. She used her military experience to teach women more effective techniques. She also openly discussed her struggle with post-traumatic stress disorder, helping other veterans. Real strength, she would tell her students, is not just protecting yourself. It's being able to protect others and empower them. Derek Johnson never came back. But one day, he sent Isabella an email. Ms. Isabella, that night I was shamefully defeated by you, but it made me think. My thoughts about women were completely wrong. I now show respect to my ex-wife, and am getting education about women's rights. Thank you. Isabella smiled as she read this email. Sometimes the greatest victories can be changing someone's mind. Epilogue. Today, Isabella Reyes is a renowned instructor who establishes women's defense programs across various American cities. She proudly carries her military background, but takes her real pride from her achievements in civilian life. I couldn't save Major Reynolds, she sometimes says, but I've empowered thousands of women. Maybe this was my real mission. Every Tuesday evening, she still teaches at the Downtown Community Center. Now the classes are overflowing with waiting lists. Isabella's students don't just learn physical techniques, They also gain confidence and mental strength. Remember, she says at the end of every class, physical strength is important, but the greatest strength is in your mind. Believe in yourselves, protect your boundaries, and never let anyone look down on you. And the women in the class know that if they act as Isabella Reyes teaches, no one can look down on them. Sometimes the strongest people are those who appear most humble. Sometimes real heroes don't wear medals or uniforms. They just quietly help others and make the world a little safer. Isabella's story teaches us this. Our past mistakes don't define us. What really matters is how we use these experiences to help others. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe and join our Everyday Life Stories community. Let us know where you're watching from in the comments. We love hearing from our amazing viewers around the world. Isabella's journey reminds us that people who silently carry strength are around us, and we should never underestimate them. Because the person you don't know might have the knowledge and skills to save your life. The quiet ones often carry the biggest secrets. The invisible ones often possess the greatest power. And sometimes, the most extraordinary stories are hidden in the most ordinary places, waiting for the right moment to emerge. Remember, never underestimate anyone. You never know who might be hiding warrior training beneath their humble exterior.